Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, here are 7 things I wish I knew before going into nursing. Let's get into it. Number 1, not all programs are direct entry, meaning when you apply for a school, you also automatically get into their program. Yeah, I wasn't aware. There's definitely schools out there like where if you get into the school, you get into the program and it's more or less like a pass and fail situation. But then there's also schools where you can get into the school, but you may not necessarily get into the program. For example, VCU. So I knew that about VCU, but there were other schools that I got accepted to that like would take me right away. But like I don't know. I don't know. It didn't like make sense to me. I didn't really know like what it meant. I thought like it just meant like, oh, like I don't know. I just didn't really know. This is why it's on the list. I just didn't know. So I have to make sure you guys know when you're researching your schools, make sure to look for that. It's different if you're just looking for a specific program or whatever you've already like. But if you're like a newbie freshman college person, like yeah, it's not a direct entry program all the time. But there most definitely are programs that are. Just make sure you look for that when you are applying for your school. Number 2, you don't have to take all the gen ed courses. When I came to college, I thought I was gonna like have to take so many like basic classes that like didn't really go with my major, but you know, college is money. But no, thankfully, being a pre-nursing student, there are some basic gen eds that you have to take, but you don't have to take all of them like everybody else. You kind of like get to focus more on your major earlier on rather than how other students would. So that's a pro, and hopefully the gen eds you do have to take don't suck. But I'm just glad I don't have to take history. Number 3, the stakes are very high and the pressure is very on. I knew nursing school was competitive. I just didn't know how competitive it was. You know, when I hear nursing school, I don't know. I don't think it's I don't know, I just didn't feel like a lot of people were going into that field, but given that it's, you know, COVID happened, there was a big rise in it and everything, and YouTube kind of like gave that little push. So I don't know, I'm personally didn't really think about nursing until probably my junior year of high school, which is when ironically COVID started, but it wasn't because of COVID. I kind of was looking into it earlier on. I just never thought it was something that I could do. It was kind of like just being like, oh, I can never be a doctor. Oh, I can never be a nurse. Like, no, I'm not gonna be a lawyer. Like, that's too like up there. I'm not up there. But like, I don't know, some sort of cliche. I just never thought like it was really this impacted. Like, I don't know. I'm weird. But the stakes are very high in terms of competitiveness, and like you may not get a spot. Like your life can really change, and the pressure is on in terms of like there's no clear direction about what you need to do in order to get into nursing school. You can't just navigate in your own way, and it's very stressful because you want to make sure you're doing the things that help you be successful, and you want to make sure you're doing it right, and you want to do everything right, and it's very overwhelming at times. It is
Number
stressful.
4,
Kind of ties in with number 3. There are no guarantees in anything that you do. Doesn't matter how hard you work or if you volunteer at every hospital in America, there is no guarantee that you will get into that program, and there's no guarantee that you will like it. There's no guarantee that it will be everything you thought it was. There's no guarantees other than the fact that it's a nursing program. It has an application. You may get in, you may not get in, and you will take those courses and pass, or you will take those courses and fail, or somewhere in the middle. Those are kind of like the only things that you can say for fact. Other than that, you can't really know if you will like it. You can't know that this is really what you want to do. There's just a lot of speculation around. It's not as clear as it looks. It's not like, oh, I want to be a nurse, so I'm going to become a nurse. There's a lot of people who I know who were passionate about being nurses, and the moment they started classes or when things got really hard for them, or they just felt like it was too much, or they didn't feel like they could do it, they didn't want to do it anymore. They weren't passionate about it anymore, and they found passions other places, and nursing just wasn't for them. There are no guarantees in anything, which is why I always say plan. You should always have a plan. Okay? Always have a plan for everything. Okay? And it's not supposed to be like a safe zone just in case you get disappointed. It's more or less like if your mind really does change, if your heart really does direct, other places, you should think about like, okay, well, what things do I like? What do I want to do too? What am I passionate about? You never know who you are going to become in college. I really love business marketing with a passion. Never knew that was in me, and I don't even go to business school, but I somehow got immersed in it, and I love it so much. And administration and management, all that corporate crap, love it. So no guarantees on what's gonna happen or where your heart and mind might go to. Number 5, like I just said, have a backup plan. I don't feel like there's no shame in having a backup plan. I don't think it's smart to always be like, oh, no matter what happens, no, everything's gonna happen with my first plan. I don't need a backup plan because I don't believe in doubt and this point. No, those are healthy things, I would say. You're a human. It's impossible to not be afraid, okay? It's impossible to not worry or to have speculating thoughts about your future. This is life, bro. You do not know the future. You don't know what it's gonna be. And I don't feel like there's any shame in having a plan B. Now, the way you go about having your plan B, that's a different story. If you're doing it because you don't think you can do, or you doing it because somebody else said something, or so, that's different. You should always stick to your plan A if that's where your heart desires, if that's what you want to do. And a backup plan doesn't necessarily mean changing your dream or changing your goals. It just means a different pathway in order to get there. Sometimes, yes, it can mean changing your dreams or changing your goals if that's what you want to do. That's all I'm saying about backup plans. I'm not saying that you should if I don't like this, I'm just gonna quit and do this, or having a backup plan is I don't know. Whatever those stereotypes about having a backup plan is, scratch them all. I think there's no shame in having, a plan if things don't go how things go, okay? Not everything is gonna go right for everybody. This is life. I'm not necessarily a realist, but with this topic, I am. Have a backup plan. No shame in it. And number 7, the last thing I didn't know is that you were gonna have to uphold certain standards. I knew you couldn't have necessarily bad grades, but I didn't think it was gonna be you need to have a 70% average of all of your tests for the entire year, and you need to have a B in this class, and your GPA can't drop below 3.5, and I didn't know that was gonna be a thing. I was thinking it was more or less pass or fail. If you pass this class, you do what you did. But no, they want the best of the best. They want to see people who are really overachieving to strive to get that A, to strive to get that B, just to work hard, because I feel like they're trying to set you up for, being a nurse from day one. Even though you're not in nursing school yet, or you're not a nurse, giving yourself, upholding those standards, treating it like a patient is how I look at it. The worst thing that can happen to a patient is if the patient dies. You don't want them to die, and you might have to do a lot of extraness in order to save them. I know that sounds super basic, but you can't just I don't know, for example, you can't just have a patient whom you're taking care of and you're just doing the bare minimum to keep them alive. But as nurses, we take care of our patients. We don't just keep them alive. They are not management systems. They are real live people who feel pain, who get sad, who have emotions, and are breathing and experiencing something very dramatic. And we are the only people there sometimes who can help them through this, and who can not only heal them physically but emotionally. And we're human. We all need each other, whether we like it or not, and especially when we're down bad like that. And I feel like setting those standards for yourself, or the university setting those standards for us, is that first step of teaching us we need to go the extra mile. It's not always gonna be you can just keep the patient alive. You can just pass. I know this is sounding more like advice, but I mean, all my videos are advice. But yeah. So guys, those are my 7 things that I didn't know about nursing. You know, getting into the nursing field as a college student. I know I threw a lot of advice, tips, things in there, but like, who doesn't love advice? Who doesn't? Okay. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Love you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Bye.